current budget.
But then we're going to save on the repair end.
We have to calculate this in. I anticipate that that's a given, right? I anticipate that that's a given. But we have to calculate this in, and this is very important. We're looking at 2.5% budget increase just to purchase trucks. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and it's my understanding, and Nikki and Judy, please correct me if I'm wrong, that over the course of the past few years, this standard budget increase was about 2%.
Yeah, we try to keep it low, yes.
No, you did a good job with that. But the thing is that just to purchase these trucks from the previous budget that we'd be given is a 2.5% increase over the course of 5 years.
Well, last year I was told that every $29,000 increase or amount in the budget is 1%.
But that would mean that if $29,000 was 1%, that would have meant that last year your total budget would have been $2.9 million.
I'm just saying what the accountant said, okay? Because when we were trying to figure out dollar amounts, I said, what does it come to percentage-wise? And Paul Lewis estimated 29,000 is about a 1% increase.
That would be 1%. That would be closer to a 1% increase in taxes.
Right, for every 1%.
Right. But not of your total budget.
29.
That's the figure he gave me.
No, that's taxes. That's a correct figure. That's taxes. That's not your total increase. But of the current budget, that's not taxes. It's 2.5%. Of taxes, which is 3.6 million, the $100,000 mark would be considerably higher. Yeah, it would be closer to 4%. So these are what we have to overcome. And the reason I'm going over these numbers, I don't mean to sound like a school teacher. I don't mean to sound condescending. I really don't, and I apologize, but I'm trying to get a point across as best as I can. Is that we have to start putting thought into changing the culture here of how we get things done. We're no longer in a position where we can address it in a traditional manner. And this is going to take a staggering, concerted effort to overcome this. I mean, if this were my business, to stay alive to do this, I would close the doors. I would cut my losses and close the doors. We don't have that opportunity. We have to address this in the reality that everybody who's going to be throwing money into that tax kitty at home is hit by these same problems.
It doesn't ameliorate the problem at all. The impact will still be the same, but I have to repeat that to a degree we're at the victims of we're at the mercy of the vagaries of the economy. You all know that just as much as we do. Go to the supermarket, or even worse, the gas station. So it doesn't make it any better, but I have to tell you that we as an entity, or essentially, we as an agency or an organization are an entity, like a family. We have the same problems that you're experiencing. These numbers are this way to a certain degree, and we have no control over it. But what we do have control over is our spending and the way in which we approach it. So you know that this is why we're doing this. We're not trying to set up gloom and doom, but we want to make sure that you understand where we're coming from. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Either Bob or I, every meeting brings up the increase in fuel costs. We've reached a point where we're paying 1.5 times for fuel than we were at the beginning of the year. Now, when the first statistic I gave to this board was that if we bought all the fuel for 2007 at one time, at January 1st prices, that we would have had an increase of 23%. Already we're halfway through the year. On top of that increase from 2007, you've got an additional 50% increase.
Only about 41.7% the price of gasoline since this time last year.
Predominant fuels, diesel,
And it's even,
it's high.
yeah.
considerably. The point being with that is with that kind of increase, we're gonna have to really, really think about, and that's just about exactly, I was a little bit high when I started working on the futures markets. The anticipated prices increases are going to be another 28 to 30% by winter break, which is November 1st. So we have to keep that in mind. But more so than keep it in mind, we need to start working with these numbers now. And I think that the time for the traditional let's start the budget has changed dramatically. And I think that we have to take realistic looks at what we can do and how we can do it. And we've got to start doing that now. I mean, this is just unacceptable. I had a lot of people say to me, well, you know, at least everybody's in the same boat. That carries no sway with me.
Doesn't help.
Talk to somebody on the Titanic about it.
Well, that carries no sway with me. I think we can do better. I think we can be a model. We may be able to only do it to a certain degree, but I'd rather go down swinging than just say, oh, well, everybody's in the same boat, throw my hands up. It's a very grim picture, and we got to start working on how we want to construct our future. Part of the reason for asking Richard here was to start discussing with him long-term plans, talking about turnovers, and let people know that we were looking at those. It was the very start of the conversation. I'm hoping to see him up here again and again. How can we change things? What can we do? And that's where we've got to begin. What is it we can do? What can we try? I mean, I understand that we're going to try things that they're going to fall flat. They're going to fail. Some might fail abysmally and be a little bit embarrassing. But I would rather at least try than not go anywhere. And before we go any further with these trucks, there is a turnaround time. There's going to be a bond. There's a lot of paperwork. We're going to be leaning on Mr. Stoloff heavily, probably in too tight a time frame. But we've got to start putting this together, and we have to start doing it now. As we talked about it for 6 months, the time is here.
Already, we'll do.
So if anybody has anything, I know Nikki, I know you're on the agenda here. I think that's a great start. And I just wanted to start going into this now without carrying on too much and pick it up and not hold people up. But I just wanted you all, and I wanted everybody who comes here on a regular basis to be very aware of these numbers and what's in front of us. And that you belong to another municipality, down in the village, this is going to be something very similar to what they're seeing, no matter what they do. And everybody needs to be very conscious of that.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. As everyone else does.